Hey everyone, it's Raj from 3CB Performance. Indiana Pacers star Victor Oladipo injured his right knee on January 23rd against the Toronto Raptors. After examination and MRI, the Pacers medical staff diagnosed the injury as a ruptured right quad tendon. The quad tendon connects your four quadriceps muscles to the top of the kneecap. The quads are really strong muscles, so that tendon is also very strong since it has to handle a high level of stress. For that reason, it's rarely ever torn. When it is torn, however, the typical mechanism of injury for athletes is while landing from a jump, which requires the quad tendon to control knee flexion or knee bending. That tendon has to lengthen while contracting, known as eccentric contraction, and absorb a huge level of stress. In Vic's case, he wasn't jumping, but you can see here that he was running at full speed to get back in transition and then took a long stride with that right leg. As his foot hits the ground with all that forward momentum, weight, and knee bend, it puts a huge stress on the quad tendon to control that amount of force, a level of stress that Vic's quad tendon couldn't handle and therefore it tore. The team has announced that he'll have surgery, but haven't given a timetable yet. Generally, the timetable for return is around 6 months, but the research is limited because it's a rare injury. The most recent NBA example we have is Tony Parker. He came back in roughly 7 months, but he didn't look nearly the same for that entire year. It's not the best comparison because Parker has played in so many more games and has so many more minutes on his body, but it at least gives a rough timeline on the rehab and return process. Speaking of rehab process, it's not an easy one. Since the quad tendon is so strong and rarely torn, you have to methodically strengthen and mobilize the tendon to the point that it can handle the significant stress put on it. And then in Vic's case, it has to be able to handle the rigors of NBA basketball and his level of explosiveness. One thing that will serve him extremely well throughout recovery and after returning is that from everything I've heard about him, he's an extremely positive and resilient person and views challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. This growth mindset is critical in rehab and returning to the court. That does it for this episode. You can always find me on social media at 3CB Performance. 3CB out.